INSS CPMI rapporteur reveals 40 billion Brazilian reals laundering network linked to the PCC and Hezbollah.
According to the rapporteur himself, the Commission has advanced far beyond its initial scope.
Gaspar stated that investigators identified a money laundering network estimated at almost 40 billion Brazilian reals, not 40 million Brazilian reals, as initially thought. The gateway was the social security system. INSS fraud, especially related to payroll loans, led to trails that connect Brazil to international organized crime. We have reached a money laundering network worth almost 40 billion Brazilian reals, ranging from Hezbollah to the PCC, and a mechanism that places Brazil on this international route, declared Gaspar at the press conference. He explained that, based on an initial movement of around 150 million Brazilian reals in the INSS, the Commission mapped connections with the First Command of the Capital, PCC, and the Lebanese terrorist group Hezbollah, as well as structural flaws that transform the country into an open door for money laundering. The final report, almost completed with more than 5,000 pages, recommends the indictment of 228 people. Gaspar highlighted that the document is technical, based on data from the Federal Comptroller General, CGU, the Federal Audit Court, TCU, testimonies and breaches of confidentiality. He does not mention President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva or former President Jair Bolsonaro by name, but he harshly criticizes what he called the political allotment of the pension system by politicians who facilitated the theft.
Context of the investigation. The INSS CPMI was created to investigate billion-dollar fraud at the institute responsible for the pensions and benefits of millions of Brazilians. Initially focused on irregularities such as undue discounts on payroll loans and aid fraud, the Commission gained survival after a decision by Minister André Mendonça, of the Federal Supreme Court, STF, which extended the work. This allowed Gaspar to present the preliminary report before the deadline. The rapporteur also mentioned signs of associative discount with banks and other financial institutions, reinforcing the thesis that the INSS was used as a front for larger laundering operations.
Reactions and impact on networks. Gaspar's video has already accumulated thousands of views and engagement. In the comments on the original post, the revolt is unanimous. Users call for the arrest of those involved, speak of Brazil, the laundry of the world, and demand accountability from Congress and the government. Phrases such as "Wake up Brazil" and "Damn corrupt people" dominate the responses. Conservative and independent experts and press outlets reported the news immediately. Publications such as Revista Oeste, Gazeta do Povo, and websites such as Claudio Dantas highlight the seriousness of the finding. It is not just theft of retirees, but a national vulnerability that finances terrorism and organized crime.
What's next? Gaspar's report still needs to be voted on and approved by the CPMI. The extension of the work opens up space for further investigations, including possible political connections that have not yet been named. The rapporteur emphasized that the objective is to correct a historic social security debt with the population and strengthen control mechanisms. For millions of retirees who see their hard-earned money being diverted to international criminals, the revelation comes as a shock. The case exposes not only the fragility of the INSS, but the urgency of profound reforms in the country's financial and intelligence system to close the open doors to crime. The video circulating on X is, above all, a warning. If all the indications in the report are confirmed, the scandal could become one of the biggest in Brazil's recent history. Society now expects Congress to transform outrage into concrete action and for the 228 indicted people to be effectively held accountable. Retirees' money cannot continue to finance the CCP and Hezbollah.
As decisões para que a gente possa trazer todas essas pessoas para a investigação.
Presidente, houve alguma...
Quem seriam alguns desses nomes?
Nós temos diversos servidores do...
Primeiro eu quero parabenizar o ministro André Mendonça pela coragem de corrigir uma omissão que prejudica...
First, I want to congratulate Minister André Mendonça for his courage in correcting an omission that harms the Brazilian people. Second, I completely disagree with the emptying of the CPMI, Parliamentary Commission of Inquiry. The result is here. It is you yourselves who give us this prestige and allow the Brazilian people to follow along. Third, I was practically forced by the lack of an extension to bring forward the report. I now have a report ready, around 5,000 pages and 228 indicted individuals. I do not mention Lula or Bolsonaro in the report, during those 5,000 pages, because I have the responsibility to do something technical, based on data from the CGU, Comptroller General of the Union, the TCU, Federal Court of Accounts, and testimonies from the breaches of confidentiality. For me, it matters little whether it was Government A, Government B, C, or D. Our role here is to correct a historical debt of Social Security to the Brazilian people. This extension will be very important. It goes far beyond the report. The extension will be very important because we are working on legislation, through bills, to seek to protect the Social Security system. This mess has reached this point because the Brazilian social security system has been divided up to serve political interests. In other words, if the interest were in an efficient, technically based social security system, this wouldn't have happened. We have, for example, moved forward with the secrecy surrounding certain individuals, such as bald men, so-and-so, and so-and-so. Their modus operandi is already well defined. We can now advance in other investigation strategies. For example, we uncovered a money laundering network of almost 40 billion reais. Not 40 million, 40 billion reais, ranging from Hezbollah to the PCC, and a mechanism that puts Brazil on this international route.
Estratégias de investigação, por exemplo, chegamos numa rede de lavagem de dinheiro de quase 40 bilhões de reais. Não é 40 milhões, 40 bilhões de reais, que vai desde do Hezbollah ao PCC.
We entered through the INSS, National Institute of Social Security, and through this entry of 150 million reais, we discovered a network that we didn't expect to find. In this same network, for example, you can find membership discounts with MasterCard. So, Brazil is an open door for money laundering. This is very important. And this open door needs to be discussed by us as well. We cannot have, every day, a new case of corruption with money laundering because of legislative permissiveness. The lessons we've learned throughout this journey go far beyond what you say about the lack of witnesses. The evidentiary framework of the investigation, what we spend the least time on is witnesses. What we analyze are data, lifting of confidentiality, circumstantial evidence. With the confluence of all this, the witness comes here to clarify some doubts. But we are light years ahead of being paralyzed by the absence of witnesses. Okay? Thank you very much.
Com tempo é em testemunha. O que nós analisamos são dados, afastamento de sigilos, indícios. Com a confluência disso tudo, a testemunha vem aqui para esclarecer algumas dúvidas. Mas nós estamos anos-luz à frente de ficarmos parados por conta de ausência de testemunha.
Ok? Muito obrigado, gente.
Obrigado.